welcome to this month's Fintech Firebrand. I'm Virginie O'Shea, founder of Firebrand Research, and I'm here to chat to you about this month's Fintech and finreg news. Now, September is always busy from the finreg front as the regulators come back from their summer breaks, and there's always a hive of activity within the European realm and also in the US. Actually, the US did not let up over the summer break. We've had plenty of change over the summer, and we're heading into autumn with even more change ahead, or fall as they call it. We've seen a lot of different initiatives launched by the SEC and the CFTC in the US over recent months related to their focus on tokenization and digital assets. As I mentioned in a previous episode, we've seen the US Presidential Working Group's recommendations around boosting innovation related to the DLT adoption. And that's all part of President Trump's focus on becoming the crypto capital of the world in the US. Certainly, that's an interesting dynamic. We're seeing a much more collaboration and cooperation between the SEC and CFTC, which has not been present as much over recent years. We have seen them over recent years fighting about who is in charge or the primary regulator for digital assets. It now seems that they are, despite the fact they're both quite short-handed at the moment, the CFTC, especially with only one commissioner in place, they are collaborating together on this topic in particular. On the subject of collaboration, we've also seen some interesting international initiatives. Earlier this month, again, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, had a meeting, a high-profile meeting with the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and they have established a partnership to drive innovation and growth in global markets. So I guess that's part of a task force under both ministries, a US-UK task force that's going to be working on regulatory cooperation, making sure that we're on the same page, particularly around the topic of crypto. So it'll be interesting to see how the UK adapts or adopts some of the things that have been going on in the US. And now more widely, we are seeing some interesting dynamics. Obviously, there's going to be some sandboxes set up. US CFTC Commissioner Caroline Pham said that she believes collateral management is an area where DLT and tokenization and stablecoins will be the killer app for the industry. So certainly that will be an area of focus going forward. We've seen a lot of experimentation on the industry part over recent years. We saw the DTCC do a collateral initiative earlier this year. We've seen Broadridge with their collateral efforts, and we've seen many more as part of different banking institutions focusing on this, as well as some of the market infrastructures. Euroclear and Clearstream in Europe as well are also focusing on it. So certainly expect collateral management to be a big topic. Collateral mobility, as I've mentioned before, is a big topic. So certainly that is an area that is being tied, interestingly, to some of the digital assets and distributed ledger efforts in the US and probably globally. On the more TradFi side of things, the US has also been looking at some reforms. There's a bigger agenda or wider agenda to look at deregulation, or as they call it, right-sizing the regulation within the market. I know that that's been a global initiative, but I think the US is being a little more aggressive in terms of the things that they're looking at. Now, a whole host of different proposals and incoming changes that were approved by the previous SEC in particular are under review. Gensler's proposals were quite unpopular, some of them, with the industry. So certainly there is a lot of leeway there for change. One of the areas that we've seen delayed twice already this year is relating to private markets and transparency around those private markets. So we've seen incoming changes or updates to Form PF being delayed. Now the SEC says that they're going to be delayed further into next year. October potentially, but even they may be adapted or they are under review, so they may disappear at some point. It's interesting to note that there is a lot of a huge push going into getting retail investors involved in private assets, private markets. That poses somewhat of a risk if there's less transparency, especially if regulators are trying to monitor systemic risk in that area. So one to watch, I think, going forward. Certainly in the UK, we've seen the Pisces initiative with regards to private market access for institutional investors. We have seen LSEG get approved as the first Pisces platform operator. So we're going to see much more on the private markets going into 2026, no doubt. In the European climes, we are seeing more progress on T+1. Certainly, there's been industry feedback on the T+1 proposals from the European Industry Committee. They're wading through those at the moment. There'll be some tweaks, updates, further details released later in the year. No doubt around that. In the UK, we're seeing similar progress. And we've also now heard a bit more from the Switzerland front. We have a communication this month around the action plan that they're putting out there with the post-trade working group. So certainly there is progress going on there. It will no doubt be a key topic across all of the upcoming industry conferences. Now, for my final thoughts, we've got a lot of industry conferences in the autumn, and Firebrand Research will be out and about chatting about a whole host of different topics in a range of different countries. And we're certainly excited to chat to everybody about things ranging from standards, T+1. We're also going to be looking at private markets. We're looking at collaboration as an industry. One of the biggest topics that always comes up at Sibos, which is coming very soon, is related to how the industry can be more collaborative across different demographics. I think we've struggled as an industry with regards to collaboration, especially amongst competing firms. I believe it was coined a few Siboses back, but co-opetition kept coming up as a topic, how to compete and collaborate across the industry in a better format. Certainly, Swift itself is an example of collaboration that works, but that was something that was set up a very, very long time ago now, thinking about it. So we haven't seen that many collaborative initiatives get off the ground as well as that particular example. So it'll be interesting to see if we can focus on particular areas that platforms can be built around or services can be built around that are common across the industry. I've written many, many different thought leadership pieces on the topic of how we develop utilities. Certainly they have had a checkered history, but I expect that to be a huge topic at Sibos, along with all of the buzzwords that we've heard so much this year: agentic AI, the future of digital workforces, digital colleagues, that's certainly going to come up. Digital identity will definitely come up, and we'll certainly see a lot more discussion, as I mentioned, about some of these distributed ledger technologies again. I think a few years ago at Sibos, they were all the rage. I think this year they're going to be back up on the primary stages. So certainly interested to chat to anyone that's there, and I hope you have a great conference season.